Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. We need to talk about UFC 329 as Conor McGregor finally returns to the UFC against a familiar opponent in Max Holloway. And he's not coming alone, he's coming with a pretty stacked card, I would say. It's an extremely entertaining card. We got Paddy Pimblett facing against Benoit Saint Denis, Cody Sandhagen is there against Mario Batista, Brandon Royval versus Lona Kavanagh is there. Robert Whittaker is like headlining the prelim card, and it looks like a pretty decent and fun card. But most people are obviously only interested in the main and the co-main event, obviously. So let's dig in a little bit more deeper into these two fights, starting on with Paddy Pimblett versus Benoit Saint Denis. Now, in my opinion, I don't really rate either of those fighters quite high in the lightweight division. Both of them have been hype trains that got derailed really badly, and this is a very interesting fight because not because these are like two high level fighters that like we are interested in seeing how the styles are gonna match up, who's gonna break first and stuff, but it's more so because they are decent at some of the things and they are good at one or two specific things, and this matches extremely well with each other's style. So, for example, what does Benoit Saint Denis do? Benoit Saint Denis puts a lot of pressure, goes forward, throws a lot of like back leg, like power kicks, basically spams a lot of power kicks to the body, to the head, and then tries to keep the opponent pressed against the cage so we can like shoot on him or like get a body lock and then try to do some judo throws or judo type takedowns on the opponent, or maybe even get to the back and do the back take. Now, if you think about it as overall as you can, this is probably a very effective game plan to do. This is basically what a lot of fighters do. Hamza Chimaev is an example of it. Alexandre Pantoja is an example of it. Alexandre Pantoja does basically what Benoit Saint Denis do. He rushes in against his opponents, takes the back during a scramble. That's pretty much what Benoit Saint Denis tries to do. He's basically Alexander Pantoja if Pantoja was kind of, I don't want to say shit, but like it's mediocre. Because if he did this blitzing and bull rushing to his opponents a little bit more safer and does it with a little bit more setups, then he would be like a championship level fighter. But he doesn't do it. He rushes in face first into his opponents, and when he shoots, he almost always puts his neck out to be guillotined. If you remember the Dustin Poirier fight, Dustin Poirier kept going for it because Benoit Saint Denis kept giving him the opportunity to do it. Against Dan Hooker, it was the same. He pretty much does it against every fighter, and this is quite a bad thing to do against Paddy Pimblett. Paddy Pimblett got a really good guillotines, and he's really, really good with the submissions. And Saint Denis, when he does this, his opponents threaten, like Dan Hooker was threatening a lot of guillotine and ninja chokes, basically. And where Dan Hooker failed was that he should have like used these submissions to get into a better position or get on top of Benoit Saint Denis and messed him up like what Moicano did. But instead, he actually like went full in on the submissions, and then he kept getting reversed, and then really, really made a stupid mistake when he tried to take Saint Denis down, and then got his hand struck, got beaten up really badly. But if Paddy Pimblett can use this to reverse positions, trying to get Benoit Saint Denis to roll out of the guillotine and then get on top of him and then beat him up like exactly what Moicano did. Obviously, as I said, Saint Denis also like rushes face first into his lot of his blitzing stuff, but I don't think Paddy Pimblett is good enough to like counter like a Dustin Poirier. What's more doable for Paddy Pimblett is the guillotines and to reverse the position This is what he should be focusing on doing, because Benoit Saint Denis is gonna be coming forward, and Benoit Saint Denis is complete shit if you can push him to the fence. So they are kind of similar in this sense, where they have styles which are quite similar. When if they are blitzing and going forward, they can be quite good, but their defense is not there. They are absolute shit if they get pressed against the cage. And if you remember, Justin Gage exactly did that to Paddy Pimblett like 6 months ago. Pushed him to the cage and then beat him up there. And Benoit Saint Denis will be looking to do this exact thing. Their styles are pretty much like an yin and yang. They have styles which can affect each other pretty well, and it's going to be extremely entertaining. I think it's going to be a very sloppy fight, actually, but a very entertaining one, just like Justin Gaethje versus Paddy Pimblett. And what does Paddy Pimblett do? Paddy Pimblett also is kind of a kick merchant. His lead leg is really, really good. I really love his lead leg work. He's extremely dexterous. He's extremely fast with both of his kicks. Leg kicks are not going to be that much of a factor in my opinion, because Paddy Pimblett is quite good with it, but it's an open stance matchup. So if he does go with like shin to shin, or like go inside leg kicks, maybe that is something. But Benoit Saint Denis is just gonna keep coming forward, and it's gonna be hard. I think it's gonna be a very entertaining fight, nonetheless. And I think it's not gonna be a finish. Maybe I think most likely I would assume it's not gonna be a finish, and I would probably favor Benoit Saint Denis a little bit more, because his takedowns are better when he does get the closer and like gets into the clinch. He's also a little bit better in the clinch, actually. So I do think Benoit Saint Denis is gonna be a little bit better for this fight. Now, jumping on to the main event, Conor McGregor versus Max Holloway. I don't know what a lot of people are smoking, but a lot of people are talking like Conor McGregor actually has a really good chance in this fight based on nothing. Actually, based on one thing that we will also talk about, but I don't know how they are like. Some of the people are so confident that Conor McGregor is going to look really good. He's coming off a 6 year layoff. He's coming off a leg break. He's not really like as he's going to be bigger. He's going to be a little bit more stationary, I think. I've seen a few of his sparring footage. I think he looks more stationary than he used to. And he's going to be heavier, so his cardio is probably not going to be there. Maybe his power is going to be better, but I think even in his prime, he was like only powerful for the first like 7 minutes. And I think all the odds are really stacked against Conor McGregor. But if he does pull it out, it's going to be really exciting. Saying it is much easier than doing it against someone like Max Holloway right now. But as I said, a lot of people are talking that Conor McGregor has a legitimate chance because of how the first fight went. And that's a pretty good reason that to think in the way of that Conor McGregor does not have zero chance to beat Max Holloway. This is the only thing that's going on for Conor McGregor, that he does have a fundamental understanding of how Max Holloway fights. And how he beat Max Holloway in the first fight is pretty much what he needs to do in this fight. But now Max Holloway is a better kicker, has more power, has refined all of his striking ability. It's not like easy to take him down. It's definitely not easy to hold him down just because Charles Oliveira did it. I think it's a really, really tough ask for Conor McGregor to do. But how did he beat Max Holloway in the first fight? Again, this was like 13, 15 years ago or some shit. And this is baby Max Holloway. This is baby Max Holloway. And if you watch the fight, everything Max Holloway did was big. It was like huge movement. He was like throwing, he was telegraphing everything he did. And if you look at Conor McGregor, he stays calm. He's just going forward. He's something that he did really well in this fight is the hand fighting, which I really loved. And he adds on it by throwing a lot of front kicks, a lot of like body kicks, roundhouse kicks. and then keeping the pressure on Max Holloway. Max pretty much like couldn't come forward because he was threatening with so many stuff, and Connor's defense was just simply there because he had a better understanding of the distance between them from the hand fighting. And if you watch the fight, you will see that Conor McGregor constantly like very slightly pull back, but that was enough for Max Holloway to completely like whiff out on his punches. And then Conor McGregor came up with like a 1-2 or like maybe a 2, and he was just beating him up. He was boxing him out on the fence, and that was pretty much how he beat him on the stand up. I know he did take him down later, but he was boxing his head up easily. There was not so much wasted movements from Conor McGregor, and he was like punishing anytime Max Holloway was like coming up with something. Because of the hand fighting, Max Holloway at this time was also not really good with his kicks. He was trying to blitz him down with like his right hand, which was also not that good because it was a huge movement every time he did it. But now this is a Max Holloway who can fight from both stands, so maybe he will go for the leg kicks from southpaw. But so the leg kicks are not going to be the bigger factor of the fight. It's more so about how confident does Conor feels about throwing his kicks, because if he just tries to box Max Holloway, I think it's going to be a bad night. But even here, you can see some of the problems that Conor McGregor always had. Even in this fight, you can see it. Like, he tries to find his left hand on Max Holloway and then ever so slightly pulls back. But this is because he's like always loaded up on his lead leg. So he can like easily pull back immediately at any time. But this gives the opportunity to attack this leg, which is what Dustin Poirier did. He also keeps his hand a lot. It's never to his chin when he throws his left hand. And Max Holloway, even in this fight, was catching him with right hooks. And if you remember, that's another thing that Dustin Poirier did in the second fight. Because anytime he comes up with Conor comes up with his own left hand, he simply is not protecting his head. And Dustin Poirier was eating him up with check right hooks. And this is gonna be something that Max Holloway will probably be looking to do in this fight. I think it's gonna be draining Conor to fight Max Holloway because he is probably gonna go to the body a lot in this fight, and I think it's gonna be a finish from Max Holloway most likely. Not saying it's impossible for Conor to win, but there is just too much uncertainty right now to say with any proof that Conor McGregor has a decent chance against Max Holloway. If you enjoyed this video, like and subscribe, and I will see you guys in another video.